the first real comment I wanted to make is this. We've all heard the phrase, may you live in interesting times. And some people say it's a proverb, other people say it's a curse. And maybe it is a curse, I don't know. So one way of looking at this is we definitely have both the fortune and the misfortune of living in interesting times. Fortune from the perspective of we have a bunch of work to do, and misfortune in the sense that if you think back a decade ago, people used to make the comment, hacking for fun and profit. Do you know that? That was common in the 90s, people would say that. And unfortunately, any longer, that hacking for fun seems to have gone away. And what we're left with is hacking for profit, which is to say, it's pretty clear that the criminal community, the folks that do hacking as a profession, are now hardcore, organized, financially motivated criminals. And that is changing the dynamics of our industry in the sense that it is our job, whether we want it or not, to really figure out how to protect the internet on behalf of all of the hundreds of millions of people who use it. And if we don't do it, who the heck is going to? So in that sense, whether or not, as I say, whether or not we want that job, it's a really important one. But it's actually down to us to help protect the internet. There's a guy on my team who, when talking about work like this, says we're trying to put the science back into computer science. And I'd argue that what Owasp and Owasp and so on are about is defining in detail how you build technology to help secure websites and e-commerce facilities. And it's really important to get that right. I think there's one very simple reason why it's important to get it right, and Dave's going to talk about this more in his presentation, so I won't steal too much of his thunder on this. But it comes down to trust. So if you look at the PayPal brand and the eBay brand, the reason we're a business primarily electronically. There's very little about our business that's physical in any meaningful sense. So if our customers don't trust the internet and they don't trust our websites, they won't use us. Our businesses would not do well under those circumstances. And the same is true for, I would submit, almost everybody in the room, in the sense that if their employers, if your employers aren't trusted by your customers, you're not going to do very well for very long. So generally speaking, this is a battle we can't afford to lose. We have to define some very specific ways to help companies protect their websites and take what today are viewed as best practices and make them utterly commonplace, so that any website you go to should never have an issue with it. That you shouldn't ever run into these kinds of problems in general. I kind of mentioned very briefly about eBay and PayPal, and there's a third business unit, Skype. We're a funny company in the sense that those three business units are managed, in a sense, very autonomously. So there are 3 CISOs for eBay. I look after PayPal, Dave looks after eBay Marketplaces, which is what people think of as eBay.com, as well as all of the ancillary properties. And then there's a guy in London who looks after Skype. So I spend far too much time with Dave, and that's largely because we have common adversaries and common problems. But with that, I'd like to introduce my good friend and colleague, Dave Cullinane, who will see some of eBay Marketplaces.
Apologies for Michael having to disappear on us, but you're doing over to do some pretty important stuff over there. So first of all, welcome. I'm really glad we could provide these facilities for you, and you could have this kind of a meeting here. I'm really impressed with the turnout. Congratulations to Dave and the team that's put this together. This is really nice. What you guys are doing, you guys being the non-sexist version of that word, is really important to what is happening to eBay and all of the other online companies, rather. What Michael was saying about the level of sophistication of the threat getting increasingly higher is absolutely true. It's actually getting a little mind-boggling some of the stuff that's going on, and the traditional ways of dealing with things and the detection mode of security is simply not working anymore. And we're even going past the term proactive and trying to talk about preventive security. And I build something that can't be broken for a while, so the bad guys will have to chase me instead of me having to chase the bad guys. Because chasing the bad guys today is So I wanted to talk a little bit about eBay. Public relations would like me to do that so that you can get some sense of what we're doing. It's a pretty interesting story. There's some amazing stuff going on here. I won't log down into that, so I think you'll find some of the things that are happening quite interesting. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing in terms of application security and what we found worked well for us and what we found didn't necessarily work well. And I think one of the things you should keep in mind when we're talking about this is the scope and scale of this organization, which I'll talk about in the first few slides. It's a little bit different. It's a lot different from anything I'm used to, and I've been in this business for, I'll say, over 30 years. And you know, this is like, it's amazing, the scope and scale of what's happening here. So some of it may or may not be directly relevant, but I think that's one of the advantages we have is we see a lot of the new and emerging stuff, and hopefully we can share some ideas with you. There's an awful lot of eBay and PayPal folks here. I would encourage you to have conversations with them when you can. There's some really smart people in this organization. And then I want to talk a little bit about some things that I think need some attention. So about eBay. Basically what we're doing is providing a marketplace where people around the world can conduct commerce. That number 260 million users worldwide is unofficially up close to 300 million right now. Probably makes us the largest online company there is. Citibank's the largest bank in the world. They don't have anywhere near that number of people who are their customers. And we actually don't refer to our people as customers because they're not, but they're actually part of our community. We're literally providing a marketplace where people can do business and conduct commerce. And that's the way we actually look at it, the way we talk about it, and the way we deal with them. They're not a customer. They're not coming into my store and buying something. They're coming into your store in the marketplace that I provide for you and buying from you. So it's sort of a different model. We're in 33 countries and using 7 languages around the world, running 7 by 24 by 365. It's really an impressive volume thing that happens. The 2 Sundays before Christmas are typically our peak times. The 2 Sundays last year, my first week here, we hit 13.5 gigabits per second going out to the firewall. And the third Sunday in January is usually a minor blip when people are selling all the stuff they got for Christmas. And that hit 20, and right now we're running in excess of 25 on a daily basis. And so the volume is just huge. So a lot of the standard things that I used to put in place in the security solution in terms of sticking things in front of the site just don't work here. They either choke it down so bad the site wouldn't work effectively or the device will work. So we're doing some pretty different and innovative things. We literally have an availability metric of 99.94. If we miss that, I don't get a bonus. Neither does anybody else in operations or technology. And it's not a mainframe environment for those of you who are running the larger roles in banks and things like that. You know, it's pretty easy to keep a mainframe running at 99% availability. Doing that with non-mainframe systems is really quite a challenge, especially when you see kind of the throughputs and stuff we have happening. Literally each feature on the site is a separate platform. So buy it now is one platform, sell your items is another platform. It makes for a huge and extremely complex environment, but it also allows us to get very granular in how we do things, both in terms of performance and in terms of security. It's got its pluses and minuses. We literally roll a site every 2 weeks. 1 week we're rolling what's generically referred to as the U.S. site, although it includes more than the U.S. And then the next week we roll the international site. So we literally turn the code base over every 2 weeks. It's quite fast-paced and exciting around here. PayPal is part of the platform used for secure payments. So I'm providing the marketplace, or I'm providing security for the marketplace. Michael does PayPal, which is providing the secure payment systems you use. What we literally are trying to do is build a community where you can come on and conduct commerce, and if you stay within our community, we give you a much higher level of protection. If you start going off and using Western Union to send money and things like that, I can't guarantee your protection. But between us and Michael, it's right, we just spend an awful lot of time together. What we're trying to build is something that you can trust and feel very comfortable in using. PayPal, and I think these are the latest statistics, has 164 million accounts, 190 markets worldwide, and 17 different currencies that are being transacted. And total payment volume for 2006 was over 37 billion. I haven't heard what the numbers are for this year. And then Skype, there was a whole lot of questions asked, but why did eBay buy Skype? And literally what we're looking for is to provide a communications mechanism. One of the things that's inherent in a global marketplace is if I'm doing things online with you and I can't see you, there are, idiosyncrasies between cultures and things like that that might make it possible for me to say, well, I don't really have to show him exactly what this is. But if it's a face-to-face communication you do, and Skype has the potential to bring that kind of capability into the marketplace. So I can actually have a face-to-face conversation with Dave, and he can actually show me that Ming vase he wants to sell me, and I can see that it's really a Ming vase and that the marketing is not appropriate, and all that sort of thing. There's no cracks in it, and he's not holding up a bottle of Diet as Steve trying to sell me that. It was founded on trust, and this is literally our official statement about pioneering communities around the world. We're built on commerce, sustained by trust, and inspired by opportunity. Excuse me. It's a culture where we expect complete strangers, and literally the vast majority are complete strangers, to each other anyway, from around the world to transact online. So sustaining trust in that marketplace is absolutely essential to our success. And it's essential to the success of the companies and the people that are transacting in our marketplace as well. We have a group called power sellers, which are the ones that make their primary living on eBay. There are well over 1 million of them. Literally, their total income off of eBay. If they don't trust the marketplace, if their buyers don't trust the marketplace they're purchasing in, then those transactions won't happen and we'll go somewhere else. So it's absolutely essential to what we do. And literally every transaction is an expression of trust. One of our company values, in fact, our number one value, it's literally a back of badge here, is that people are basically good. We literally believe that in a fervent fashion. Unfortunately, with 300 million people out there, 10% of the people are bad, which is the thing in security called the 10-80-10 rule, where 10% will always try and get away with something. 10% will never, no matter what the temptation, and the other 80% may or may not, depending on their perception of getting caught. If 10% are bad, and 10% of 300 million makes 30 million bad guys out there that are causing problems. And that's literally what the problem is today. There's a small percentage of people that are trying to take advantage of people who are trying to live their lives and conduct their businesses online. We've created a community of trusted components, a trusted marketplace with auctions, stores, classifieds, etc., trusted payment systems through PayPal that are secure and convenient. They're very closely integrated. We actually spend a lot of time designing our applications together and integrating gateways between each other so that we can pass what information I need to provide the marketplace and what information Michael needs to secure the PayPal side of the house. Marketplaces tries very, very hard not to keep any customer non-public information. We literally do not want to be in that business, but Michael has to, and he has also his regulatory issues he needs to deal with. So we have different sets of requirements, and we balance that out so that I'm probably best thought of as a customer of PayPal's in that sense. I need to make sure that what I'm giving him is secure and that I'm doing the right things to protect him. So if any of you were working in a bank and you know all the stuff about customer notification processes and all those types of things that come out from GOVA in the last few years, I'm actually the customer of Michael doing that for me. And then trusted communications with Skype. This is to give you an idea of how it's changed. In 1996, when the thing started, it was a relatively low transaction volume. It was in the developed countries only. There were very few incentives for the bad guys to come after us. Most of the things that were being sold were relatively inexpensive. There wasn't much competition between the sellers. It was much more of a friendly and open place. But now it's become a very competitive marketplace. And if I'm selling a 1,000-screen TVs for $5,000 and you can sell them for $4,000, you're probably going to get the bulk of the business. So it becomes a very competitive environment. And unfortunately, competition doesn't always bring out the best in people. There were very much lower trust expectations on the part of our buyers because they were basically, it was a brand new environment, it was a new concept, it was a new idea of doing things. So there's, if you don't know the story of eBay here, OGR literally came up with the idea over a Labor Day weekend and put it up, and he had a broken laser pointer that didn't work, and he put it up for sale and said, he literally said in the listing, this does not work. Maybe somebody smarter than me can fix it. Bid on it, and he actually sold it for $14, and that's where the idea came from and how eBay emerged. But there weren't really any expectations on the part of the people who were participating in those transactions in those days around, really needing to be secure and the volumes and the dollars value of things that were being sold and stuff like that. My wife sells Beanie Babies. There's only so much you can do to, with a Beanie Baby cost of $10 or $13. But my brother-in-law is actually a power seller. He owned a boat yard, and it was 2 Thanksgivings ago. It must be longer than that, it must be 3 or 4. But anyway, we were over there for Thanksgiving dinner. And he took us over to show us that it was boat that had come in. We were coming back, and in the showroom there was a pile of boat parts, old boat parts in the corner. My wife said, "What are those doing over there? They're ready. Get them out of your showroom." And he said, "Oh, they're old Chris Craft and other parts from vintage boats, and they're worth a lot of money if I can find the right people to sell them to. And I don't want to just junk them and throw them away. They got some value, but I don't know how to get rid of them." She literally took him to Costco, bought him a PC, sat him down, showed him how to get on the internet, showed him how to get to eBay, and he now runs a business selling used boat parts on eBay, makes far more money than he ever did with a boat yard. He goes and plays golf every day, and eBay sells his stuff. There's just thousands of stories out there like that. But you say firewall to my brother-in-law, you could go, yeah, there's insulation between the studs there. That's all I've got. He doesn't have the concept. Today, the transaction volume is extremely high. I already talked about that with 37 markets. There are incentives for the bad guys. People are selling stuff that's significant value. If I can con 10% of those 300 million people into doing something foolish, make $1 a piece and an awful lot of money. So that's one of the things that's driving that. It's much more competitive for sellers, and there are some issues around that. And there are much higher levels of trust expectations from a population of buyers in communities around the world who are much more sophisticated in what their expectations are and what they think they should be getting from their technology. So trust issues, the progress has always been present. At the banks, there's all kinds of things, deposit loss, fraud, and all that sort of stuff. Computers and global communications will enable technology as a tool for fraudsters to use, as well as the legitimate users. The threat's really sophisticated. All the stuff we did when I was at the bank, so I was at one of the major banks before I came here, around educating our customers about the property phishing things and watch for the bad grammar and watch for that sort of stuff. That stuff's not there anymore. Harvard and Berkeley did a study probably about a year ago now. The success of phishing, and just said that people's volume of email is so huge and they read their stuff so fast that they're going to fall for that one that says, from the bank that says, we've confirmed that your account's been breached, you need to go make sure your money's still there. Please click here to acknowledge receipt of this message, and people are going to click and go and not think about what they did when they just hit that button, cause that executable that executed. So trying to do it by educating consumers not to fall for this stuff is not going to work. Literally, probably less than a year and a half ago, I would have said, I did say, when I was doing presentations like this, it's not The Sopranos. Today it is. I don't know whether it's The Sopranos in that sense of the word, but it's very definitely organized crime. Computer crime is definitely being funded. They're clearly running a business. They make their decisions about what they're going to do next and where they're going to attack and how they're going to do things based on business decisions. And they're making, sizable amounts of money out of it. And it's basically criminals exploiting technology to commit fraud. And literally what's happened is the fraudsters have just moved into the computer age in a big way. Despite all this, both the buyer and the seller need to be confident in the security of the marketplace, however, which is my challenge. So what we're trying to do is create a community of trust. We do education stuff. We do quite a bit of it. We have a conference called eBay Live every year. That's our users conference. Last one was last June in Boston. There were over 12,000 people in it. All of them were just eBay people. We did a bunch of stuff in terms of training them on how to protect themselves. We passed out the PayPal security tokens if you haven't seen them, which is the one-time password generator for stronger authentication. We did a great deal of education and training in the week-long sessions there on how to protect yourself online. William Lynch, who's our chief security strategist, runs a big developer conference 2 days beforehand to talk about security issues and how to develop code and things like that. So if you're an eBay user, I would go How many bought something on eBay in the last 60 days? You guys are killing me. It's really an interesting exercise. There's a lot of stuff going on there. We're using some very sophisticated state-of-the-art systems. Rather not talk about them in a larger audience, but conversations about how we're dealing with this, that, the other thing online. We're happy to do that. We're using some emerging technologies and literally are looking for companies with new and breakthrough ideas so we can get into that preventive mode and build something that can be working for a while instead of looking at the traditional solutions. We build an awful lot of stuff ourselves. There's some amazingly brilliant people here who have some amazingly brilliant ideas. And literally we can do a lot of stuff ourselves that we probably couldn't buy in the commercial marketplace. But what we're trying to do now is get much more into a mode of partnering up with the major vendors in the marketplace and building something that's sustainable. 3 years ago, we went out and looked at antivirus solutions for the site and found that what was out there wouldn't handle the volumes of what we were seeing, so we built our own system. It's called ABS. It does a phenomenal job, does all kinds of stuff, far more than your standard antivirus offerings do, but there was nobody to sustain it and maintain it, and so when we looked at the cost over 3 years, it was actually costing us a lot more than it would have to partner with somebody like a Symantec or a McAfee or whomever, and build something that was much more robust and that could maintain for us, and at the same time that creates a capability within the vendor community that they can give you a better product. So that's one of the things we're trying to do. We want to keep security as transparent as possible. My brother-in-law being a shining example. If you tell him he needs to do something complicated, he doesn't have a clue what you're talking about. We have users still using Windows Me and Windows 95, Web TV. I can't just push something out unilaterally and say, okay, this will fix all my problems, because there's so many different types of operating systems amongst those 300 million people who are out there. But we are very aggressive in our pursuit of criminals. You mean very aggressive. I'm supposed to say how many, but we've arrested hundreds. And we do a great deal of work with law enforcement around the world, not only training them on how to do things and deal with some of these new issues, because it's a new area of expertise for them, but also helping them to make the arrests and do things. We're seeing our name in the news pretty frequently in terms of that kind of stuff. Security assurance is really what we're talking about here. It needs to be measured and known. I don't need to go spend $2 million doing something that doesn't change. It doesn't have that much of a change in things. I need to find the solutions that if I spend $2 million, I can reduce problems by $10 million, and that's what we do the cost-effective stuff that needs to be done. And we need a response capability that's global. We're making that more sophisticated today as the level of issues that are going on in the places around the world where we need to be able to respond effectively and increase as the company grows, but it's one of the key things. Thought leadership is something else we're looking at doing. One of the advantages we have is being such a dominant player in the e-commerce space is that if we decide we're going to go in a certain direction, it acts as a leader type thing on the internet. And it's one of the capabilities we're actually looking at trying to do, the things that we can do in conjunction with some of the other major players in the internet and online space to actually set some direction and get something better than they have been. We do measure and manage security risk. I think MJ's actually trying to do that for me right now, so she's probably not here, but Jay Austin works with us, and she's literally putting together an information risk program. We're actually quantifying how much of a risk things is, look at the dollar value of what's happening, and look at the cost effectiveness of the protections and doing that in terms of risk. We were doing some of that stuff at the bank, and we might have thought it was leading edge, but what's going on here is way beyond that. So there's some pretty interesting stuff happening in that space. I'm sure that Jay Scott Lewis will be happy to talk to you about. Again, we're trying to move to that definitive security model, and one of the things we've used, and we've used quite successfully, is a reputation measurement. So it's called a feedback score. So for those of you who use eBay, you'll notice there's a feedback score, and the idea is that if you're trying to buy a 50-inch plasma TV and you're looking at spending $7,000 or $8,000, and I've got a feedback score of 20, and Josh has a feedback score of 5,000, you might want to consider buying a TV from Josh, because that means Josh's customers are more than very happy. We've actually been able to use that pretty effectively, and reducing some of the problems out there. And we're literally looking at doing the same thing with the security score right now. So if a seller's trying to sell something and they have a high security score, you can be sure that they've got a lot of the appropriate protections in place that will protect your transaction. It's a pretty interesting idea. What works in AppSec? So trainings help. William and Brianna have done a bunch of stuff in this space, and getting our developers trained in how to write code more effectively, write code more securely, and do those types of things. And we've gone to the next level of trying to get some of the implementation things that happen fixed in terms of education and training. It's been pretty successful. It's not the total answer, but I think it's something that absolutely has to be done. One of the things I'd love to see done is security and developer curriculums at colleges and stuff. We hire a lot of young folks who come out of college who have brilliant minds and brilliant capabilities, and they know the latest and greatest stuff from the schools they just finished, but they come in and they don't have a clue about some of the problems they could be creating as they design new applications and write their code and stuff like that. It'd be really nice if they sort of understood that when they came in the door instead of us having to pull them off when we first get here and try and teach it to them, and then get them to understand why it's important. SDLC is one of the key features that we're looking at making some pretty significant changes on. So we have a very good and rather remarkable product development lifecycle here. We use EDLC instead of SDLC. But right now we're using touch points, and we're actually pushing that towards gateways. So there'll be security gateways that you have to go through, and you have to prove that at this point in time you've met all the security requirements. And the idea of that, at Stake did a study probably 5 or 8 years ago, that said it's 80% more cost effective to build security in at the beginning than it is to do it at the end. I got to tell you, oops, I got to go fix this, and this. It's going to cost a lot more money. So we build those gateways, and as people are developing the technology and their code and putting it out, we can make sure it's secure before it gets to that final point and it doesn't cost so much money. The tools, there's a lot of them available, and we're finding that we need a variety to deal with different types of issues. The things that find issues, resolve them, and educate the developers at the same time is really a good idea. So the developers checking in their code at night, if they come in the next morning and not know what was wrong, it's been fixed. It's going to help in that education process and get them to understand what's going on and get them more effective in building stuff that's secure in the first place. They do have their issues, false positives, and a number of issues that they could raise to be a major concern. It's slowing things down, it's logging things down, and causing problems. It's obviously not being helpful. So again, it's the whole concept of cost effectiveness and what are we getting for our investment. And configuration of tools is absolutely critical to success. Or if you're building the same things the same ways, which is one of the nice things that SOA sort of offers us. There's a lot of things we can do there. So if I can build a whole bunch of secure services in a SOA environment, calling secure services, and I don't have to worry about every single individual being able to do it the right way. It can actually make us much more effective. We have a good vulnerability assessment group. I don't know why I wrote that for some reason. That was something back in my bank days, so they got mad at me the last time I used their name, so I won't do that. Not embarrassing the bank. It needs to be scalable, and this is a good, you need a good approach, so it works in the environment you're dealing with. So, let's see, we have over, I'm supposed to say the official number, we have tens of thousands of servers, so I'll put it that way. Me trying to have one of my guys or one of our guys go out and look at that, it's an impossible thing. So we use some of the vendors that are sponsoring you here to go test the entire environment on a monthly basis for those tools. And then the team can be much more focused on what are the issues that are being raised, and is there a trend that's happening, and why is that trend occurring, and what do we need to do about solving that trend, and that sort of thing. It's very useful. So that's been working quite well. Some of the challengers, and Liam actually hit me with this one the other day, talking more about content is king in your environment, and what you're trying to do is put content out there and make sure the features and functionality are there and are available versus engineers who really understand how all this stuff is working and all the intricacies and interdependencies and interconnections that cause problems. If you're working in that kind of a culture, then there are issues. And one of the things I will say from my former job is we literally had a situation where they rolled out an application that did wire transfers. So it's actually wiring money around the world. And when did their audit about a year after they put it out, one of the major audit findings was that they hadn't turned on auditing and accounting on the system, so it wasn't tracking who was doing what wire transfers. When I told that to some of the other folks, my peers in the banking industry, they're responsible for how many people got fired, because in some organizations that would be the case. So we went back and talked to the people who had been involved in this and said, so what happened? And literally what we found was the consequences of missing a project deadline where you get fired, the consequences of not doing the things you needed to do for security was an audit would find it a year later and tell you to fix it, and you did 6 months to fix it. And it was one of the things I worked with the chief risk officer at the bank. It was really kind of an interesting new perspective on security. But it was really rather interesting, and one of the things he had said in response to that was you really need to be careful what metrics you're using, because you may be driving different behavior than you intended. And that's literally what we were doing. Our metric was much more about getting stuff out the door, getting it up on the site, and getting features and functionality built in. And there was no real consequence for not doing it securely. As a result, we were creating insecurity because of our practices. That's one of the things I think we need to be looking at dealing with. Cutting and pasting code to save time is something that, it's particularly in a high volume environment, people are going to do. So if there's problems there, cut and paste the problem, and you've got the problem replicated across a much larger environment. If you're a relatively small environment, that may not be a big problem for you, and maybe you can live with that and use other means of addressing it. But in our environment, where we literally roll a site every 2 weeks, that's an issue we have to deal with. So it's something we're working very hard to make sure that the code's written right the first time, and then somebody does need to cut and paste for speed and efficiency, at least the cutting and pasting good stuff. Education challenges and understanding time constraints are another one. When I was at the bank, Michael Howard came in from Microsoft, did their trusted computing stuff, and having give a mini version of that course. I basically took all the bank's developers for 3 days and stuck them in the room. They actually loved it. They wanted more. They literally wouldn't leave at night. So it was a very useful exercise from that perspective, and we got a lot of things fixed by doing that. But taking those guys away for 3 entire days had a significant impact on business, and you need to figure out how you're going to balance that and how you're going to do it. So again, if I could get educated in college in the first place, so I didn't have to do it at work. The promise of SOA is really rather intriguing if I can design secure services and just have people call those services instead of having to worry about everybody being able to understand the nuances of each type of thing they're looking at doing. So if there's a payment involved in whatever you're building and all that sort of stuff, you just call a secure payment system. And I don't have to worry about, do you know all the requirements individually to deal with building that kind of capability yourself. So that way the content creators can call secure services and still meet their deadlines and everybody's happy. Reactionary find and fix just doesn't work. Typically the rate of exploitation creation is so fast today. I was reading something the other day, there were in 2005 there was 1 zero-day attack, in 2006 there were 30, and so far this year we're on track for a lot more than that. So it's just it's becoming much more important that you build something that's right in the first place. And I already mentioned the S-stake study. Some of the areas I think need some attention. The first one's virtualization, whether it's VMware or whatever the case might be. The use is growing like crazy. A lot of organizations are looking at it as an answer to a whole lot of problems. We're building a development center and outsourcing a development center in China, and we're worried about, I'm not talking about VM, I'm just talking generically. We're worried about them having problems and needing to have an IT organization to maintain them. Oh, I have a great idea, let's give them VMware, and then they don't have to worry about any of that stuff, and everything will actually be happening here where I can secure. And that's all a wonderful idea, but how much examination has actually been done with these environments, and how secure are they really, and are the things there that are exploits? Back in my dim dark past, I was at Digital Equipment Corporation. I was actually started up in the traditional security space, and I got into the internet security and the network security stuff, and it was a bizarre way. I'll tell you later on where you live now. The first day I was in this new group, starting to do the computer stuff, I threw a microvax on my desk and said, here, learn BMS, and here's the email. So I learned BMS, and then they came in and said, okay, here's NT351, learn this. And at the time, NT351 was actually going to be used for firewalls and all kinds of things because people hadn't figured out how to break into it yet. But that was literally why it was more secure at the time. People hadn't figured out how to break into it yet. I have a concern that some of these virtualization environments may be the same thing. They're better right now because nobody's figured out how to exploit them. But if they start becoming more widely used, people will start to find things to do with that. And so we need to begin to look at how we secure that before that happens to us. Architecture is obviously one of them we need to spend more time on too well, and that's one of the reasons why I'm delighted to absolutely offer this facility for your use. What you guys are doing is really, really important, and you should be doing it. You're making my life a lot better. Finding secure architectures, we really need to get into using some of the technologies like HTML to provide secure authorization of web apps and stuff like that. And we need much more of this technology implemented that needs to be designed effectively. And as companies do more sophisticated virtualization, grid computing, et cetera, on the web, we need a more sophisticated layered security model that compartmentalizes businesses and enforces business rules. And what we really need to do is define and build it together, and that's why I'm really glad you're here. And hopefully, we can do that some of